What if the one piece everyone assumed was impossible suddenly became the most logical move on the board? What if the coldest shooter of a generation, the same guy who ripped our hearts out in June after June, ended up slipping on purple and gold and turning crypto into a splash zone? And what if the signal wasn't a rumor drifting in the wind, but a quiet, deliberate green light that flips the entire West on its head? You can feel it, right? That little buzz in your chest when a story stops sounding like bar talk and starts sounding like timing, leverage, and fit. The kind of move veterans nod and say, yeah, that would actually work. I'm talking spacing you can see from the rafters, gravity that bends defenses like metal near a magnet, and a playoff poise you can't teach because it's been carved under June pressure for a decade. Tonight, we're not playing fantasy GM for clicks. We're following a trail of basketball logic, cap mechanics, and timing windows that put together paint a real picture. Not a guarantee, but a path. We're going to pull it apart piece by piece. The basketball fit, the locker room chemistry, the late game shot map, the salary framework, the assets both teams would weigh, the risk profile for year one and year two, and what this would signal about the franchise's identity moving forward. Stick with me, because the dots connect cleaner than you expect. Here's my promise to you, by the end. You'll either believe this is the smartest pivot the front office could make, or you'll swear it's too risky to touch. But you won't sit in the gray anymore. We'll go from no way to here's exactly how it could happen, who says yes, who hesitates, and why the timeline matters. No fluff, no shouting match. Just basketball and business. Laid out like a game plan. You're watching Lakers News Fan Report, our home, our barstool, our late-night film room. If you live for real hoops talk and honest, no-nonsense breakdowns, drop a like, subscribe, and turn on that bell so you don't miss the next deep dive. The season doesn't wait for anybody, and neither do front offices when the right star becomes available. Let's set the stage like adults in the room. The Western Conference is a math problem. You either beat elite spacing with elite spacing, or you die by 1,000 closeouts. We've seen it. Too many possessions with the paint packed, the corners half respected, the nail defender cheating off the weak side because he knows he can tag and still recover. That's not a roster flaw. That's a geometry flaw. And geometry is solved by gravity, not slogans. Klay Thompson, at his core, is geometry. He tilts the floor before he even touches the ball. His defender never has both feet in the paint without a panic rising in his throat. One dribble handoff, one Iverson cut, one ghost screen bang, the weak side tagger is late. The low man is confused, and your driver sees daylight. You can coach principles all day. You can't coach a defense to ignore that kind of threat. His presence is the speech. His catch is the exclamation point. Now think matchups. Late game, Western semifinals, 2 minutes left. We're running horns flare. A D sets the entry. Guard hands back. Klay goes to screen and floats to the slot. The help defender has to choose. Stun at the driver and pray, or stick to Klay and concede the paint touch. If they switch, Klay unlocks the post duck in for a D with a simple shallow cut that freezes the top tag. If they top lock Klay, the back door is automatic because his cuts are GPC sharp. These aren't what ifs. These are the same reads he's been punishing since the league wore baggier shorts. But what about the legs? What about the injuries? Real question. Fair question. And here's the answer. The version of Klay that wins you high leverage minutes doesn't need to be 2016 Klay sprinting through mazes. He needs to be 2025 Klay. Clinical footwork, economy of movement, punishing foot placement, catch and shoot with shoulders already squared to the rim before the pass arrives. He needs to be ready on time and on target, and he's lived in that neighborhood for years. You don't age out of timing. You refine it. This is where fit becomes more than vibes. Our fans begged for clean second side actions, last season empty corner pick and rolls that felt muddy, post splits that didn't scare anybody because the tags were too comfortable. Add a real splash threat, and suddenly your second side is a runway, not a cul-de-sac. Ad's touches look different when weak side help is 1 step farther and 1 second later. Your ball handlers look smarter, your role players look braver, and your coaching looks more creative. That's what one elite spacer does. He makes everyone else's job easier, without ever touching the ball. Let's talk numbers without drowning in decimals. There are only 3 buckets that matter: acquisition cost, annual cost, and opportunity cost. Acquisition cost is picks, swaps, and rotation salaries. Annual cost is the cap hit and tax math. Opportunity cost is who you can't go get later because you win here now. If the front office sees Klay as a culture ad, a playoff shot chart fix, and a nightly spacing guarantee, you're not stacking nickels, you're investing in clarity. And clarity wins tight series dots. So where does the clock help or hurt? Contenders don't wait for perfect windows. They create workable ones. Off-season phone calls become early season temperature checks. Early season checks become deck-jan conversations. Needs get louder. Timelines sharpen. The market moves from wishful to practical. That's where a deal like this stops sounding like a splashy headline and starts sounding like a sober decision. All right, you've been patient. Here's the part everybody clicked for. The real news is this: there is no official Klay Thompson confirmed to the Lakers. There is, however, a clear, rational pathway and a growing belief among basketball people that if the timing, health, and price align, the Lakers could make an aggressive push for Klay because the fit is undeniable and the competitive math demands elite spacing to win real rounds. That's not a press release. It's a temperature reading of how smart teams operate when an opportunity solves multiple problems at once. Translation: we're dealing with speculation built on logic, not fantasy, and you deserve that distinction spelled out. Let's flesh out the basketball case in full color. First, lineup optimization. Put Klay with a D in any alignment, 5 out, 4 out with a dunker spot. Staggered screens in the Spain action, and the help map redraws itself. Adds post touches stop being wrestling matches because the dig defender can't abandon Klay on the slot touch. Your ATOs carry more bite. Your swings hit the third pass cleaner. You don't just get threes, you get better twos. That's the quiet secret. Klay's presence is a layup generator. Second, rolls. Klay is not coming to dominate the ball. He's coming to sharpen the edges. Let the initiators cook. Let Klay sharpen their knives. He's a timing merchant, a screen use professor, a lift and drift savant. He knows how to clear the elbow, how to turn a dead possession into a live dribble handoff, how to set a cheeky pin in that buys a driver one extra step. The tape is a masterclass in efficiency. Third defense. He's no longer erasing prime guards all game, but the fundamentals are intact. Sturdy base. Chest first, angle cut discipline, strong side stunts without overhelping, and a postseason habit of guarding within structure. You don't need him to be your best defender. You need him to be responsible inside the shell so your plus defenders can gamble on schedule. Championship defense is communication. Klay speaks that language. Now the uncomfortable part, cost and consequence. Any realistic pursuit involves giving something that hurts. Teams don't hand out elite spacing for hugs. Names you like would be on the table. Picks you cherish would be discussed. And rivals would try to tax the Lakers because taxes are what brands pay in this league. That's the job. The question isn't, does it sting? The question is, does it raise the ceiling in May and June? If the answer is yes, pain is part of the purchase. Also, the front office has to weigh runway. Year 1 is about fit. Year 2 is about margins. In year 1, the headliner is clarity. Rotations settle, roles harden, and the film looks like identity, not experiments. In year 2, the tweaks show up in the little things: baseline out-of-bounds counters, end-of-clock comfort, 2-for-1 execution, and the quiet confidence that the ball will find a star's hands in rhythm. Klay, historically, doesn't need months to sink. He needs a staff that understands off-ball orchestration. That's teachable. That's scalable. There's a culture angle, too. Klay is scoreboard humor with serious habits. He brings the championship boredom, the kind where details matter on a Tuesday in January because they matter even more on a Sunday in June. He's seen scouting reports that read like novels. And he survived series where every cut had a counter baked in. Put that in your locker room and the quiet standard rises. That's contagious. That's why veterans with rings get second looks even when the counting stats fade. What about late clock? Tie game? Ball in your best player's hands? This is where Klay's superpower stacks. Trust. Trust that when you draw up a dummy action to move the weak side nail, he'll sell it with his eyes. Trust that when the drive collapses the lane, he'll drift to the right window without clogging the dunker. Trust that he'll take the shot he has, not the shot he wants. Stars love that. Coaches love that. Winning loves that. Let's be adults about risk again. Floors and ceilings. The floor. He's a 20-minute playoff spacer who chills the paint, knocks down big shots, and behaves like a pro. That's already valuable. The ceiling. He catches a rhythm year. The legs feel lively. The threes come in waves. And your offensive rating in the non-AD minute spikes because the spacing survives substitution patterns. That swing series. Okay, mechanics. No tampering here, no fake sources. Just the logic clock. Teams monitor. Agents communicate landscape, not promises. Medical staffers study trend lines, not wishes. And front offices measure scenario trees. Plan A, Plan B, break glass. Plan C. Klay fits cleanly into Plan A for any contender that needs a shooting anchor with championship reps. If your identity screams, "We need gravity," you make the call. If the price turns out to be sane, you stay on the line. And if you're wondering about the ripple effects, imagine practices. Imagine your young guards learning the art of using a shooter as a moving screen, how to snake under Klay's lift, how to time the pocket pass, so the low tagger has to choose between the roll and the slot. Imagine a D getting catch-and-shoot reps in rhythm because the help is late and the swing is early. These are grown-up advantages. These are the margins that show up in Maybach scores as +8 in 12 minutes. Now zoom out to Brandon Building. Los Angeles is a light city, but winning turns the bulbs brighter. A move like this isn't a billboard stunt. It's a competitive thesis. We value spacing, decision-making, and guys who have bled under finals whistles. That signals to future free agents and role players exactly what this team is trying to be. Identity attracts the right followers. None of this works if the medicals don't cooperate or if the price becomes silly. That's the needle you always have to thread. But if the numbers align and the film stays friendly, this is the rare veteran move that helps your stars age gracefully while making your role players look a tier better. That's sustainable. That's how you build a spring team, not just an October headline. I can already hear the pushback. Nostalgia tax. Fine. Then do the math without nostalgia. Start with expected value of shots created by gravity. Add late-game reliability. Add locker room maturity. Subtract defensive slippage. Factor injury variance. And compare to the market rate for elite shooting with championship pedigree. If your spreadsheet doesn't scream, at least make the call. Fix your spreadsheet dots, so where do we land? On the responsible line. No official confirmation, no done deal parade. Just a smart, plausible, high-leverage pursuit that fits the roster, the market, and the moment if the timing, price, and health cooperate. That's speculation grounded in basketball, not smoke blown into the wind. It's a bet on geometry, gravity, and grown man playoff minutes. Before we close, I want to hear from you. If the cost is one starter-level salary, a rotation wing, and future flexibility that stings, do you pull the trigger for Klay's gravity in big games? Do you believe his presence unlocks a deed to a quieter, easier 30 in May? Or do you ride with internal growth and keep the powder dry for a younger star? Drop your take below with your best 5-man closing lineup if Klay is in the building. Who handles? Who screens? Who spots? Give me your chessboard. My personal opinion. If the price is disciplined and the medicals are clean, I do it because spacing is a playoff language and Clay is fluent, but this remains speculation, not confirmation.